You're listening to The Vault Unlocked, where the real secrets of success are revealed. Every episode, one founder, one confession, one strategy that created income, scale, and unstoppable growth. The code is cracked. The vault is open. Today, I'm excited. We have the leadership guru, awesome entrepreneur, Leigh Brown. Leigh, how are we doing?
I'm even better now because I get to show off my little retro kitchen. In fact, you got your little fancy high-tech background. We're like yin and yang here.
I noticed that. I do like your little fancy retro kitchen. What was the inspiration by that?
Oh, it's a long story, so I don't know how much your listeners want to hear. But The very first female-led syndicated TV program was out of Charlotte, North Carolina back in the 50s. And it was a lady named Betty Feeser. So it was one of your home ec shows. She showed you how to cook things and how to fix a stain. And then a few years ago, I found her set in the basement of a house that I was going to list for sale. And I was like, that's Betty Feeser's kitchen. And so I asked if I could buy it. Shazam, I have taken her whole set and recreated it here in my office. And it's my favorite backdrop ever.
And with that story, I love it. And I know if you haven't actually, little plug here, if you're listening on Apple, come to YouTube so you can actually physically see the set we're talking about. I love it. So Leigh, tell us a little bit, like, who's Leigh? What is Leigh all about?
Well, I'm a North Carolina native, and my roots here go all the way back to the colonial days of North Carolina. My family are patriots, and the birthday of the country is coming up here next year, which is wild. We are a farm family, and I grew up into a kid who went to go to Wall Street, which wasn't for me. I sold chainsaws. That was great, but it wasn't for me. And I landed in real estate as an entrepreneur 25 years ago. I still live here. I hang out with my family as much as I can. I have 2 kids who are eligible to fly the nest as soon as they can get a good job, and a husband who is more patient than he should be, and basically living the American dream every day.
I love it. And with a lot of energy too. It's awesome. It's awesome. So real estate agent.
Well, I would say I'm actually a real estate broker because it's fancier. You know, vocabulary matters when you're trying to elevate your game. I do own my own brokerage, and I have worked with buyers and sellers personally for 25 years. But at this stage in my career, I work with a select few buyers and sellers because, I can cherry pick, which is a good perk. And now I think we can educate all over the world on how to conduct real estate in a more professional way and be more profitable.
Okay, so I want to get into that because that's very interesting, because I actually have a little bit. I used to do some real estate training. So I remember back in the day, the lunch and learns, and the guy would come in at lunch and sell you a product and speak to real estate agents. Believe it or not, I'm aging myself. Back then, I was selling websites before real estate agents were even on websites. Yes. So we were telling them how, if you don't have a website, you go out of business nowadays, right? If you don't have even social, heck, if you don't even have a podcast, you probably go out of business these days. So I get it. I love it. But you didn't just turn, and you're right, you didn't just turn into a real estate agent. You created your own brokerage. How many agents do you have?
Oh, there's only 4 of us. We're small but mighty. And
I love it.
We're still one of the top 1,000 brokerages in the country. And it's always a good reminder to people that size is not always the way you measure things. If you have really productive people, I'd rather have my small crew of highly productive people than a bunch of non-producers.
So already we're going to change that for you, because when I hear the language and terminology, I want to make sure we catch on. We said small, but we ain't small. We are boutique. You're a boutique brokerage.
But I generally don't like that word. Can I tell you why?
Oh, yes.
Because it imports an opinion that we're the luxury, top-end kind of brokerage, but we work with everybody from a single wide trailer, and we do represent luxury homes too.
Okay.
And I avoid the word boutique, and you can fix me on this if it would help, but I don't want the person at the lower end of the price spectrum to feel like they can't call me, because I want everybody to have top professional service. So help me recraft.
Yeah, that's great. So we would have to figure out what's another way of saying boutique that doesn't isolate. Just with everything that the way you speak and the way you hold yourself, I actually thought you were luxury.
Well, thank you. I'll tell my hairdresser he appreciates it.
Yeah, I thought for sure you were probably doing a little bit more. Well, I mean, are we talking ultra luxury, $30 million homes? But I definitely thinking you're doing at least $1 million plus homes, not dealing with, trailers, I think you said, right? But you go all the wide range.
It's the original affordable housing. And one thing I learned from my dad, my dad's a retired realtor. I should absolutely point out, he was, by the way, the first realtor in Charlotte, North Carolina to have his own website. He was kind of fancy.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
But he told me on day one in this business, and actually he told me this in my other sales lives too, when the phone rings, it is someone who could have called anybody.
Yeah.
You have received the honor of that phone call. Never let them down. And so from day one, it's, I don't care what your price point is. I'm going to treat you like you are the multi-million-dollar property, because you never know what's happening in somebody else's life and how you can lift them up by being the one person who poured into them when everybody else told them they weren't enough. And I love my luxury properties. They're pretty fun to sell, but there's something special about the person who scratched and scraped and made it happen, because now they're in the game too.
I absolutely love that. I see how real estate's bigger for you than just selling homes and commissions right out of the gate. And you just said it there indirectly. The last thing is people who scraped and figured out whatever they had to do, make the down payment to get in their first home. Doesn't matter the size of the home. You're helping people get into a home. People who maybe thought they never even had the ability to get in a home, you find them the right home. You're finding them the right process for them so they can walk in with their own keys. And I can see that you're very passionate about that. So that's fantastic.
Well, we want people to build a future that's financially stable. And I think every entrepreneur, one of our goals is to hire people so that we can provide a future for other people. It's so exciting when you get to grow jobs, because other people then get to change their lives. Real estate's the same way. When somebody gets in, now later they can play up. But if they don't get in on step one, they're never going to be able to progress. And man, it's just so empowering to watch somebody else make it happen. I didn't do it for them. I just helped show them the way. And then they get to go do big things. And I get to sit back like a mom and say, good job, baby, good job.
Yeah, I love it. And you do that with a small, mighty, like we said, a small, mighty, strong team. You're not looking to be bloated. You're looking to go deep, and you're looking to be effective.
Well, honey, I've had those days. I've had the lots of agents days, and it's lots of headaches, because even in the larger number of agents, you still have a core that are wildly committed professionals, and they are crushing it. And you have a whole bunch. You're like, I don't have enough leads.
Yeah. So let's talk. I mean, this podcast isn't about that, but let's talk about that, because I think there's something there for all salespeople. And I don't know what the stat is, but back in the day, it was something like, again, typical, like 10% of the real estate agents make sell 90% of the homes. Still why do you, what would you say?
Still accurate.
Yeah. So why do you think that is?
Well, I personally believe that because real estate, you have to make a disciplined choice on day one. You're either in or you're not. And I love part-time agents who feel like they could sell a house here and there, but they're not in, and they don't get up and treat it like a job and give themselves the discipline and manage themselves to success. Those top producers, they're up in the morning, they have a calendar, they have a schedule, they've got a plan, they got checklists, and they will knock it down. The person over here who wants to sell one house every 3 years isn't committed. And the commitment takes you from the bottom to the top in a way that knowledge really can't do. There's so much more.
I love it, because indirectly, what I always say is there's no such thing as being half pregnant. You are or you're not, AKA you're committed and you're all in, or you're out. There's no such thing as, I say, if I was teaching or selling real estate, if I was in a real estate room right now, I'd be saying there's no such thing as a real estate agent who gets to take his cape off on Friday.
Correct.
You either you put that cape on and you become it. It's not what you do, it's who you are, or you're not. Because there's too many other real estate agents, as you know, that are committed, and they're just going to eat your lunch. And that's where the 10% come from that make up 90% of the homes.
Well, it's so funny you mentioned that, because my hairdresser, who I paid exorbitant amounts of money to look like this, I'll be very honest, and he's wonderful. He texted me the other day and he said one of his clients has gone into real estate. And I said, oh, do tell. I can't wait to hear about it. And this person, because they're trying to break into the market, is offering everything for free. And he said, that doesn't make any sense. I said, you're right, it doesn't, because in our business, we are paid success fees. And until you've sold the property, you ain't getting paid nothing. And so he's putting all of this money out in hopes of one day getting compensated, he'll be broke within the year because he doesn't understand the value that he brings. The value isn't in the stuff. The value is in you, your ability to listen and help somebody else figure out how to respond in the marketplace. And that comes from communication, being aware, being knowledgeable, and being in there, not about throwing money at it. You can't throw money at things and expect it to get fixed.
Well, let's unpack this if we have the time. Oh my God. Like there's so much there, right? So we can't throw money at things, right? Without what I heard here is like without actually understanding, communicating, and really know what you're doing in this job. So let's, this is really interesting. I love this. If we were to take a step back and say, okay, what is a real estate agent? We understand what a real estate broker is, and a real estate broker, owns the office and basically owns the business and has real estate agents under them. But in this case, what is a real estate agent? What does a real estate agent really do?
The truest explanation of a real estate agent is a professional problem solver.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's what sales is problem solving.
It is.
Welcome to Sales 101.
I'm
yes.
compensated when I solve a problem. So I'm not an amateur, and I get very irritated with people who don't understand that the difference in a professional and an amateur is compensation. And if you suck at sales, you're not going to get compensated. In fact, there's always an episode of The Office that will correlate to things in life. And if you remember when Pam tried sales and she was mad that she wasn't making any money, and she said, "Oh, I guess it is fair that I don't get paid when I didn't sell anything." It was hilarious and true. So I'm professional and I'm a problem solver because in real estate, I don't know what I'm going to encounter. I don't sell a commodity. I'm selling on emotion all the time, and not just my client, but the other side. And then I might have a survey issue, an inspection issue, a money issue, a human issue. I don't know, but my job as the pro is to say, okay, that's what we got. Let's figure it out. And every day it's a let's figure it out day.
And it's interesting because you're solving one of life's biggest problems, right? For like most people is owning a home,
right.
Finding the right home with a budget that they're excited about and that they're going to be, again, I'm against the mortgage stuff, but blind to a mortgage for 30 years.
Well, we want to look at the mortgage in the way that it's properly processed, which is it should be considered short-term debt. Smart people lever themselves to get into the game and then pay it down.
Yes.
If you
so
a 30-year mortgage last 30 years, you did something wrong.
Okay, so I'm from Canada, right? So it's a little different there with the mortgages.
They're very special.
But what I have this philosophy is you rent out what you own and you rent where you live. What's your thought on that philosophy?
It depends on the person, because if it's you as a single person and you're not emotionally connected, that might work. But if you are a parent and you've got a spouse and 3 little kids, they need stability. And if we look at what happens to children's educational futures, the longer they stay in properties, the better off they are as they learn and grow, because kids need stability. So if you're a family with kids, you buy it and you live in it instead of paying somebody else rent. And then when the kids are out of the house, sure, become an investor, or be super duper smart, buy a duplex, put your family in one side, rent the other side out. There's ways to accomplish it, but it boils down to the fact that it's got to be a personalized solution. And isn't that everything in life? We should stop commoditizing everything and get back to how each person has a unique perspective on it. True
problem solver in front of us, right? Identify the problem, we'll figure out the solution. I love that. So if there's agents, salespeople like sitting here, because I even thought, many people have told me, oh, you should be a real estate, agent. And I've always said, no, like I know what I am. I know who I am. And it never really spoke to me. I understand it. Sure, the commissions are incredible, especially when you get into like the $5, $10, $20 million homes, but it's not for me. But what I love about it is what you just said. It's problem solving. It's sales. You're in the people business.
Well, are we all? Isn't everything sales? You have to have a winning package to get people to listen to your show and to watch your show. And that package is how you present it, how you put it together, and who you bring on the show. It could be let's go back to The Office again. Dunder Mifflin was a mid-level paper processing company, but what was their key? It was the salespeople who sold the product so that somebody else could have their needs met. People who are good in real estate are people. We're probably terrible with the details, but we hire for that. Everything in life, if you would think about it, is sales. Dating is sales. I have a 19-year-old and a 20-year-old. They're terrible at dating, which I think all the young people are now. You should do a whole series on what's happening to dating, but they're scared of failure. And I keep telling them, that's the whole point. Dating is for the failure so that you recognize the success when you find it. And it's no different than me talking to some buyers and can't help you. Got one. It's just all a numbers game.
Yeah, we can go down that dating. I just did actually a video on the whole dating, what I think about the dating world, but we won't go down there. But the point of that video was very simply was the whole dating world is messed up right now because actually being real and authentic is actually seen as weak today. You have to be manipulative. You got to play games. You got to gaslight if you want to win, which is so complete backwards of what true dating was, what chivalry was, what picking up a girl and being your authentic self and showing her who you are and showing your heart and being kind. You do that, you lose. You actually lose the date. It's crazy. I don't want to get into it because that's not what this is, but it's actually
people doing their lips. Explain that to me. Like,
oh my God, I don't even get me. We're gonna go down that road.
Because I'm middle aged. Because I look at it, I'm thinking, baby girl, what are you doing?
It's not even what's happening to their physically to their body, but it is destroying them mentally, and they don't realize it. And what happens is as you know, like they start being delusional. Like they get body dysphoria, and they start forgetting that like their lips are already too big. And you know who I actually blame? Outside of everyone else, you can blame, media, all that, but the injectors. Yes. If the injectors were like you, who cared about their people, they would turn people away. So I know some professional injectors where I live. They tell me horror stories where they turn people away. But the problem is those people will go to another one until they find someone who's willing to just inject them. And they have these big lips. And I feel so bad for these young girls because they think it's pretty. They think it's cool. They think it's Miami. And it's so gross. And men don't like it. All ages. Men don't actually like it. We don't.
No, it's not for each other. And that's where you go back to the fatal flaw in dating. If women are trying to impress other women instead of the men they're trying to attract, then they wonder why the men aren't attracted. Play to the right audience. That's sales. You play to the right audience. You're always talking to somebody where they are so that you can connect. But if you're talking in a horizontal fashion instead of a vertical fashion, that's why you're not moving up.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I love that. So let's talk about you're established now, right? So I would say as a result of all your hard work, your commitment, your dedication, I'm sure the phone rings for you. You don't have a lead problem. You pick up the phone, you close. But what was it like before that? Because you had to work hard to get there. So what was your process? Like, what did you do to get to the position where the phone's ringing?
I go everywhere people are. Now, I'll preface this by saying I'm an introvert. I'm an INTJ. And so I had to fight my own preferences to go be successful in this business. But I wanted it because I wasn't cut out for the corporate world. I did not fit in corporate sales. So if I don't fit there, I may as well make this work. So, for example, at the gas station, one of my favorite stories ever, you spend a lot of money on gas in real estate because you're hauling and hoping. You're taking people all over. And instead of paying at the pump, I would go inside and pay for my gas. Well, the same fellow was in there all the time. And finally, he said to me, "Why are you buying so much gas?" And I said, "Well, I'm in real estate. Why are you here all the time?" And he said, "I own this gas station." And I said, "Tell me about that." And he said, "Why would I spend money on labor when I can work here myself?" Because a lot of our gas station owners are very understanding of their labor cost. Well, he and I struck up a friendship. And as it turns out, he owns 22 gas stations in the area. He's a commercial broker. I am, because I was in there all the time. Because he had a very congenial relationship where I wasn't the kind of customer that I see on the TikTok who walks in thinking they're better than the proprietor. I engaged with him. And so he has my business cards and he hands them out. And Then I would volunteer at places that mean something to me, like my church and also Habitat for Humanity, not just going to a nonprofit because other people are there, but the places where my heart is.
Yeah.
Spend time. And wherever you spend time and people can figure out who you are, they will reward you with business. And it's not an overnight success, but it's a long-term strategy that actually works.
So what came up for me there, and I just was so important, was intention and integrity. And when I say intention, you were intentional of where you went, because you just said you're not just showing up there because your broker told you to, or you read someone told you to do that. You're showing up because yeah, it could help with business, but you're intentionally showing up to the places where business or no business is where you're supposed to be. You're also getting something out of it yourself just for being there, providing whether it's giving or taking, and as a result, you're intentional in your integrity, and that's the type of people want to be business with. They want to be in business with people that they can know, like, and trust.
Well, and especially if you look at the changing world of AI, which I don't like in so many ways, but I use it in several ways. So I guess I'm a hypocrite, whatever. You gotta
use it. You gotta respect it. You gotta use it, but you gotta understand how to use it. Because I believe that we live in a world. There's two things are going to happen. Like two groups of people. The group that's going to fight it, you're going to say, AI is not taking over. And then the group that understand it's here, it's been here forever, but it's here and it's here forever. And the ones that learn how to use the AI and adapt to the AI, they're the ones that are going to exist. They're the ones that are going to succeed. And the ones that are fighting it, they're going to find themselves beautifully equipped to live in a world that no longer exists.
Well, but they can also be in my third group of beautifully equipped by knowing AI, but still hating it. And still that it should take over and run the world. So we'll be the third questioning group.
Yeah, but you're using it. You gotta tap into it.
But I use it I take my human piece and let it.
Yeah,
I can be a little abrupt in emails. I'll admit it. And so one of the good uses of chat is to take my very abrupt emails and say, please soften this a little bit.
Yeah,
I'll soften it. And then I can edit because it needs to be edited because I don't use 87 emoji. Yeah. And so spoiler alert for any of your viewers and listeners, if you use Chat GPT, go back and backspace over those 47 emojis.
Get rid of the emojis and the dashes. The dashes. What are you leaving the dashes in? I tell people, like, oh, you don't want to get caught in GPT. Two things just simply do. Take out the emojis and take out the dashes. That is it.
It's going to start using ellipses soon because that's what my mother uses in every one of her texts. And so I think ChatGPT is going to learn that from her. And then I got 3 things to watch for. But anyway, so I can go back and I can take my piece, get it softened, and then edit it. So it does add a step in, but it actually helps me with my connections. And I'll take the help side of AI. But I brought that up because if I think about where it's going to interrupt relationships, salespeople are going to have a lot of relationships interrupted because they're forgetting the intentionality of the face-to-face. And an example I'll use is this. I can get the grocery store app to put my list together, calls the grocery store by scanning my little barcode, knows exactly what I'm going to buy week over week and replenish it. But I will not do that because when I walk into the store, I get to interact with the staff and the other customers, and I can strike up a conversation. Yeah. Here's my favorite sales trick. I will pick up my phone and say, good afternoon, Leigh Brown. And I say it nice and loud so everybody around me can hear that I'm in the store. And then I'll hang up my fake phone call and they'll come over and say, oh, I had a question about this and that. And I'll say, well,
wow, you do that.
Of course I do. That is the easiest prospecting ever. You know what it cost me?
$0. I don't think people picked up that. I don't know if a lot of people would have picked up what you just did there, but I did. That's genius. So, again, know your audience, know yourself, be self-aware. You want to be a great salesperson. You know your audience. You know the city you're in. It sounds like it's a smaller mom and pop. I'm sure your billboards are everywhere and everybody knows Leigh Brown. So Leigh Brown walks into the grocery store and brings her phone out. This is just awesome. And she goes, hey, Leigh Brown here, right? Has a little bit of a fake conversation, gets off. Oh, who's Leigh Brown? I know Leigh Brown. People are sudden coming up to you, and there's bubbly Leigh Brown just saying, here, how can I solve your problems?
Well, you know what's interesting? My city's about 180,000 people. It's not a tiny place, but wherever you live is actually smaller than you think because You frequent the same gas stations, the same grocery stores, the same restaurants. We're humans, and by nature, we are mimetic creatures. We do what other people are doing, and we repeat our own patterns. So if you treat your area, I mean, you could live in Toronto and treat your area like a small town by showing up. I'm in there so frequently, they know me. And frankly, one of the reasons I have the hairdo that I do is because it is recognizable from a distance. I don't want to have everybody else's look. I lose my advantage. And I also have never tried to get rid of my Southern accent because I know it is a get out of jail free card with a whole lot of the inappropriate things that I've been known to say.
Yeah. I love it. So, and then you said earlier, you're not just a brokerage. You said you do speeches and you travel all over the U.S. as a leader, as a spokesperson for real estate, for brokerages.
Well, as a hired gun, really, to come into associations and brokerages and leadership events to talk about sales and leadership, and sometimes the practical side of real estate, but more frequently about the strategy side and the strategic planning. And what are you supposed to do when everything's changing? AI is going to be this generational game changer like email was when it came out in 92 and 93. It's that big of a shift. And a lot of people are panicked right now, which I think is where the I ain't touching it comes from, is just, I don't want to learn anything else. Don't make me learn it. And so they're in panic. And I come in and I can talk about the changes I've been through in my life and in this profession and help give people a little bit of juice and fire back. But I won't lie to you. My favorite place to go is to Asia to teach. I've spoken on 5 continents. And what I have found is that Asian audiences are so hungry for ideas and information. They are dialed all the way in. God love them. My American audiences get a little bit numbed. And they can't put these things down. And they get so dialed into this little poisonous device, they lose sight of where they are. Yeah. It's a challenge that we have out there, but I love nothing more than a challenge.
I love it. So what do you think that these real estate agents, are facing right now? Like what are some of the threats that are happening?
Oh my heavens. If you look at the newspapers, there's a headline every day, this lawsuit and that lawsuit, and our trade associations are being sued by this person and that one in class action, and the brokerages are going after the multiple listing services, and it is daily drama. And all I can look at it and think is these lawyers are making a big pile of money off of all this fussing, because we all know what happens when you're mad and I'm mad and we sue each other. Who wins?
The lawyer. I mean, no, I don't ever deal with lawyers because the only people that win, people don't realize that only people that win are lawyers. Like I don't like everything I can do to not deal with a lawyer.
The traffic ticket, in which case the lawyer will save you a lot of money.
Yeah.
Conversation. But when I look at the upheaval around the lawsuits and how the structure of real estate is being changed by regulatory agencies and by lawsuits and legal reactions, those are the 30,000-foot changes that are impacting the day-to-day life of a tiny entrepreneur, because most real estate brokers are solopreneurs. They're doing it on their own. They may expand, but their practice is being changed by the upper level, and they don't really know how to react to that. And so I feel one of my roles is to encourage them, because every other time an industry has gone through an upheaval, there are a lot that have come out the other side stronger. The question is if you're going to be the one that comes out or if you're going to give up and go somewhere else. And right now is the time to make that choice.
How's the buying process change for buyers? Like, so someone, in the market, 10 years ago, I'm assuming it's changed quite a bit. And the reason I'm asking, what's coming up for me. I know, for instance, the car industry, and you just go shopping for a car, you would, on average, I think it was like 4 to 5 dealerships you would go to. Now it's 1.1. Me personally, I don't even go to the dealership. I already know the car I'm buying. I know the car better than the salesperson does, better than even the general manager does, because I've already built it 125 times on the line. I know the colors, I know the specs, I know everything. I come in, I don't even need to go to the dealership. I just make a call, credit card, send me the papers, I'm done. How are you seeing that that's changed in real estate? And the reason I'm saying that is good real estate agents, I could tell, right? They bring in the drone, they bring in that type of whatever that video is where it's 3D. You can walk right through the house. You can envision yourself in the house with your family. I don't even need to go see it. I go see it just for due diligence. I already know if I want to be in that or not. Like, how does that affect the real estate agents?
Well, there's a really important distinction between automobiles and houses. And that's on the automobile side, you're definitely buying a commodity item because the car that you built could be built again and replicated, and it is what it is. Houses are emotional purchases. They're not commodities. And what changes in a house is the unspoken parts, and that could be the smell.
Yeah.
If you've ever been in a smoker's home or somebody who owned cats, it's going to have a different price in the market than something else. And we don't currently have smell-o-vision, although I'm sure that's coming right after AI, and then we'll have that handled. But when I take somebody into a house, there's this weird sense that it's either home or it's not. And
you can feel it? Can you feel it right away?
In their eyes. They start sparkling. Yeah. They're like, oh, this is the house. And if they walk in the wrong house, they're like, well, I mean, it checks all the boxes, looked good online, but it's not your house. And if it's not your house, we keep going.
Yeah. Are you up front like that? Do you just say, let's just move, let's just stop wasting time?
I'm like, why are we looking around if you're not buying it? That's like going on a date with somebody you're never going to marry. Why would you waste their time and yours? And the thing you have to remember too is that when you're viewing a home, somebody else lives there. They'd like to come back and finish supper. They'd like to come back and finish their day, but you're spending an hour somewhere you're not going to buy. Well, that's just rude.
Yeah.
You're realizing there's an emotional component, and it's because a car, you'll drive it, you'll enjoy it, it becomes your own. And then when you go to trade it in, you just take all your crap out and put it in the next car. With a house, well, that's where your babies lay their head down to sleep at night. And that's where Mama had her last Thanksgiving, or for y'all, it's your last Canada Day. And we just love it so much. And all these memories wrapped up into it. And so you look at fewer houses. But if you look at the buying process, the reason it hasn't gone on Amazon is because if you click to buy, it's still, you don't know the house because it's the community drives the value, the smell drives the value, the feel drives the value more than just the bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage. And so in a internet world, our buyers find their own houses. It's quite frequently, I got a text just a little bit ago, we found the house. Okay, great. So why do they need me?
So that's what I was saying. It's changed where you used to actually probably have to really go find the house for them. Yeah. They already found that between MLS, all the websites, blah, blah, blah. They found the house. They're just getting you to broker it.
Right. And so that's the hard part, because the hard part is from the time you find it until we get you into it, it's the hiccups you don't even know. So my professional problem solver hat, well, what happens if we've got an encroachment on the survey? What happens if there is mold in the crawl space? What do we do do we still buy it? Do we not? And my job is to counsel through the entire process and help them figure out how to be financially stable in this house. And when I'm working with someone buying a home, we're going to make sure they're equipped for taxes, they're equipped for insurance and the unknown things that are going to happen. The FAQs on a Zillow can give you some ballpark ideas, but they don't understand North Carolina law, which is different than South Carolina law, which is different than California laws. You have state-specific laws, state-specific regulations. I've got geographical things to consider. So my dirt here is different than the dirt 2 hours east here. The weather in Canada is far different than the weather in North Carolina. How does that impact a house? So my knowledge actually is more visible now because they don't have to look at 57 houses. They look at 3 and buy one, but they get to see my knowledge sooner. So it's just a different way that the time is allocated.
So it has changed then, because you just said like it used to be like 57, houses. Now it's 3. Like it's like you go to a couple houses and that's about it. So it's changed
anymore. And that's a good thing. But the sad part of it, though, is sometimes you rule out a house from the internet that could have been perfect because in your head you said, I have to have XYZ. But houses are so different with the way that they feel when you walk in. And, the number one phrase on HGTV is natural light. Well, your definition of natural light might be different than mine.
Yeah,
so if
absolutely.
You fail to look at a house because you think it's not right, well, sometimes you do need to walk in and see how it sits because it's a different kind of purchase.
So it's an experience, and you're right. It's a very emotional, very, heavy financial experience. And you're basically the doctor, the salesperson, the therapist, and then the friend through it all, and making sure that we feel safe purchasing the home, knowing that we're buying the best home for our needs. And I'm sure because you've been doing this, you have a book of homes that maybe are not being shown up on Zillow or whatever it might be that that'd be perfect for our needs. Like
that's
perfect
the goal, right? Is to say, well, let's talk about it, because I am visible in the community. So people do come to me and say, we're going to sell. If you hear of somebody before we go hardcore with it, let us know. Well, I can quietly have conversations, and that benefits people sometimes. But I'll be honest with you, I think sellers get the best outcome by being fully exposed to the market. And a lot of times when they want me to quietly get the word out there, it's because they haven't really committed to packing up yet. They don't really want it to sell. And so they're testing the waters. And I don't mind helping people process through, because it can be a long process. It's big.
Well, and it's a big decision, right? Like you said, like, especially if you're talking with a family who's been in there for 20 years and mom has all the memories, it's not as easy as people think, just pick up and walk away. Moving, what do they say? The biggest stressors, right? Moving, career, and what's the other one? And public speaking. Yeah. Public speaking. That's their number one fear. Yeah. Their number one fear. The number one fear is public speaking, but the biggest stressors are in change, right? Is moving, relationship, and career. Yeah. So what else? What else do I have to ask that the listeners need to hear about Leigh Brown? Because I get it, I love it. You are like, I'll tell you this: if I was in your area, you're going to be my real estate agent.
Well, I appreciate that vote of confidence, but I missed Toronto. My son and I went to a game at Jay's Stadium.
Yeah,
we stayed in that hotel that looks out over the field because who doesn't take their kid there? And somehow that became his favorite team. So we're the oddballs in North Carolina. Everybody else likes the Atlanta Braves. My poor boy likes the Toronto Blue Jays.
I love it. I love it. Where can people find you if they want to learn a little bit more about you? If someone's listening, they in your area and or want to bring you on as a speaker, even just talk real estate with you, where can they find you?
Well, I am Leigh Thomas Brown on all the platforms. You got to include your maiden name when you're a lady, because people just don't know when they met you one time. And I'm Leigh Brown on my website. It's pretty easy to find me. If you see a fast-talking Southern woman with her hair swooped out, that's me.
That's her.
I love helping people find the best version of themselves and just grabbing the reins of their own life to keep going, whether it's through real estate or through being better leaders in life. And I'd love to connect with you. And my podcast is Real Talk with Leigh Brown. So maybe I'll talk you into coming on to my show sometime, and we'll turn the tables on you and make you talk a little bit.
I love it. I think we should do that. Again, thank you so much, Leigh. Thanks for being here. And that was another episode of The Vault Unlocked, where proven builders, real strategies, and unstoppable growth happens. Subscribe now. The next unlock could be your success. The code is cracked. The vault is open.